Hello aspirants, looking at current affairs for 12th Feb. The news items that we have picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 15. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, interceptor missile tested successfully. So this is regarding the indigenously developed interceptor missile. So an interceptor missile is a missile which is intercepting, targeting another missile. So that is been developed as part of the two-layered ballistic missile defense system which India is developing. It's under development. So this is Prithvi air defense. It is modified Prithvi missile which is used for this. So this has been successfully tested presently off the Odisha coast, Wheeler Island, which has now been renamed as Abdul Kalam Island. So here it has been launched from, the interceptor missile was launched from this. The incoming ballistic missile, so this ballistic missile came from Bay of Bengal. So this was destroyed with a direct hit. So this is an extremely precise method which needs to be technique which has to be put into effect, and it's only India would be the fourth country to have developed this capability once. And so we are among the 4 countries, the other 3 being US, Russia and Israel, which have ballistic missile defense system in place. So this is what has been developed. It's under development by DRDO, Defense Research and Development Organization. So it can target missiles in endo and exo atmosphere. So within the Earth's atmosphere and beyond the Earth's atmosphere too, this targeting can take place. Presently, the target was at destroyed this missile, ballistic missile which had come. So this ballistic missile which has been launched from Bay of Bengal for this testing too, which was targeted, was to mimic an enemy missile. So that is the 2000 kilometer range missile which was launched from the Navy ship from Bay of Bengal, and this missile was engaged and destroyed at 50 kilometers above the Earth's surface. So this has been successfully achieved presently. So it's a great achievement, a milestone in our step towards becoming part of this exclusive club of nations developing capabilities to engage hostile threats in skies. So this is what we have achieved right now. So you can see how India's missile defense system works too. So this is the enemy missile which has been launched. So it is first detected by AWACS, that is Airborne Warning and Control System. So Indian Air Force AWACS detects it. It alerts the control center, and then this is the long range tracking radar. So radar in place, we have these Israeli green pine radars. They trace the velocity and direction of the missile. Then another interceptor missile is in place. So this one, comes closer. So as the missile is coming closer now, the second radar, which is French made, this will lock onto it, and then this interceptor missile will be flown towards the enemy missile that will be having a guided onboard thermal radar which is Russian built, and it will destroy the missile in air. So the experts here say this is extremely precise technique which needs to be in place, because this is just like hitting a bullet by another bullet. So that much of precision is required in this. So we have successfully test fired. This is a great achievement, a milestone in moving ahead. So this is the ballistic missile defense. You can see this Wheeler Islands, now known as Abdul Kalam Island. So from where the launch, this was earlier to launch. So this is the Prithvi ballistic missile simulating the enemy missile, and a modified Prithvi is also the interceptor missile. Right. Then the next news item is rights violated, says Justice Karnan. So we are hearing about Justice C.S. Karnan. He will give his statement before the Supreme Court when the hearing comes. Of course, it will be coming again in news. This we have already discussed in news, so you should be knowing about it by now. So this news has been covered in detail on 9th Feb. Even the video of 9th Feb can be referred to know the entire background about Justice C.S. Karnan and the case presently. So the Supreme Court has initiated a suo motu proceeding. This is suo motu cognizance taken of contempt of court. So contempt of court proceedings will be initiated against him. Suo motu means on its own. Nobody has filed a petition before the Supreme Court, but Supreme Court on itself has initiated this suo motu, and a contempt notice has been sent to him. So here the response which is given by Justice C.S. Karnan, who is presently the judge in Kolkata High Court. Earlier he was a judge in Madras High Court. So this is saying that the Supreme Court has no power to initiate these contempt proceedings against him because he is a sitting judge. And they say that either the case should be referred to Parliament, because impeachment of the judges can take place through Parliament, or the case should be taken up, he says, after the present Chief Justice of India retires. So that is the statement he has presently made. He'll be coming before the Supreme Court bench. So let's see, it will be a 7-judge bench of the Supreme Court will be hearing this case. It's the first time in the history of the judiciary in India that a contempt proceeding would be initiated against a sitting judge. So that is why there is no precedent of this. Only things which have happened are impeachment proceedings. So we'll wait and watch what happens in this case as well. Basically, the allegation is the adverse remarks or statements which he has made against judges of High Court as well as judges of Supreme Court. He has written some scurrilous letters to even the Prime Minister. So these will be the points on which the case would be heard. Then the next news is 5 names cleared for Supreme Court judges. So we have seen this in news earlier too, that 5 judges' names have been referred to by the collegium to the government, and now the news comes, a good news, that the 5 judges' names have been cleared. So they'll become Supreme Court judges. Presently, the vacancy in the Supreme Court is 8. So 5 being appointed, it will become 3 vacancies in the Supreme Court too. So even these 8 vacancies were the lowest amongst the vacancies which we have had over the years. So that is why it's a good step that in this case at least the government was quick and approved the names quickly. Otherwise we have seen that names have kept pending before the government and they are not approved quickly. So the judges' strength of the Supreme Court is 31, including the Chief Justice of India. So this is the sanctioned strength. Even further 2 vacancies would arise and there will be a need to appoint judges. So collegium system is still functioning because the alternative, which will be decided through MOP, Memorandum of Procedure, has not been finalized yet. So a Memorandum of Procedure would be finalized between both coming together, the government and the judiciary. So the government has given a draft MOP to the judiciary, the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has to respond on it, which it has not done so far. So that is that it has not yet been finalized. And the NJSC, National Judicial Appointment Commission, which was proposed to be set up by the government, it also passed a law, NJSC Act, and also amended the constitution by 2/3 majority and even consent of half the states. Both those were struck down by the Supreme Court in October 2015 because judicial precedent was lost in it as per the Supreme Court. So it would affect the independence of the judiciary if government and judiciary have equal say. So then equal say was not sufficient. The judicial precedent should be there, that primacy should be there. So that was the point which the Supreme Court had put forth then in October 2015 in this judgment, calling these unconstitutional. Plus also it said that the present collegium system is not up to the mark. There's a need for reforms here, and that is why MOP procedure has been initiated, that finally memorandum of procedure would be finalized through which appointments should take place to judiciary. Then the next news item is 22% TV programs depict tobacco use. So this is a survey which has come forth, a report on it. So this is the report by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare itself. It says evaluation of tobacco-free film and television policy in India. So in this it has come to know that for the film and televisions, the 3 forms of warning messages which are mandated are: one is there should be anti-tobacco health spots. So health spots are these small videos which are which are viewed. So before films also you see a small video against tobacco which is given. So there are 2 videos. One is Dhua, and you have that video Phepde ko nasht kar deta hai, all that. So that one video is there. Then another video is on children, how children are affected. So these are small videos which the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has developed. So these are called also Child and Dhua. So these 2 videos are generally to be expected to be given before the initiation of a movie or something. And so these are anti-tobacco health spots which are mandated. Second thing which is mandated are audio-visual disclaimers, that if there is any audio-visual means that the person himself, means there should be an audio to somebody saying also and somebody being seen. So audio-visual disclaimers should be there that anti-tobacco stand is taken by the actors or by the movie makers. And third is static health warning messages, that smoking is injurious to health, tobacco consumption is injurious. So that kind of static health warning messages would also come. Generally they do come on movies or something when the person in the shot is having consuming tobacco or something. So that is the 3 mandatory requirements, but the study says that these 3 are not followed by all films, and especially in television sector, only 22% have been found depicting the use of tobacco, out of which 71% are broadcast at the time and children and adolescents are also watching TV. So this has to be rectified. It says that only 4% of these TV programs have at least 2 of the 3. So these anti-tobacco spots, child and Dhua, shown. So that is, it says that the compliance levels are quite low, and it is required that these initiatives are wholeheartedly implemented by the television and film industry, because a survey has been conducted in which they say that 30% of the people who have been surveyed, they have said that these messages encourage them to quit. So justifying its action to the rules which it has mandated, it is asking for the television and film industry to adopt them wholeheartedly. So this is shown here. How many films show characters consuming tobacco, how many TV programs show such depictions, and then how members have responded. 50% say that they have agreed that tobacco warning messages make them think, and 30% say they have been encouraged to quit as well. So this is COPTA, Cigarettes and Other Tobacco Products Act. So this tobacco is injurious to health. Tobacco accounts for 40% of all cancers in India too. So there is a need to act against this. Even tobacco users in India, in rural areas, it is tobacco consumed as such, and in urban areas generally cigarettes, BDs, all these which are consumed are the ones which result in respiratory problems, heart diseases, TB, and also cancer. So that is why action needs to be taken against this. You can see there are 275 million Indians, 35% of adult population, and 14% of children who are tobacco users, and mainly they are smokeless tobacco users. Smokeless tobacco means not cigarette, BD. So that is what is targeted here. Then the next news item is NGT asks CPCB for report on Manja. So this is National Green Tribunal asking Central Pollution Control Board to submit a report about the Manja, means what should be the mandatory requirement, rules and regulations for Manja which should be allowed, because Manja has been banned as such because of its adverse effects on the animals as well as humans. So this has been banned nationwide by NGT. So this was an interim ban. So now NGT is asking that the Central Pollution Control Board give a report that what is this the composition of this glass coated. So what is this manja is what is used for kite flying. So these are coated with glass. So that's why they are having harmful effects. So what should be the prescribed standard, the tensile strength, the thickness and other parameters of this manja so that it can be allowed. So that report is being sought. Once given, then NGT would allow manja to be used with the specified requirements. Chinese made manjas, which are generally known to be glass coated, have been completely banned too, especially. Then the next news item is tigress found dead in Bandipur National Park. So this is Bandipur National Park in Karnataka. We have been hearing about deaths of tigers in this region. It's Bandipur Nagarhole belt. It is said this is the 8th tiger to die since January 2017. So 6 have died in Nagarhole and 2 in Bandipur now. So this tigress had wounds all over her body. So it is attributed to infighting. So that is not because of some, it's a natural incident actually. It is said that in the wild, it is seen that generally during the mating season too, which is November to February, the animals are having these wounds on their body when they fight and attack, and that is why this has resulted in the deaths of tigers. So that is the reason they say that during this time there's territorial fighting is also there, that when they enter into each other's territory they fight and sustain wounds and then eventually succumb to them too, so they die. Otherwise, even during mating season, it is seen that deaths do occur. So that is how the Bandipur National Park head is justifying this. Anyway, the tiger reserves in Karnataka, you should know, is Bandipur, Nagarhole, other 2 tiger reserves. There are 3 other tiger reserves you should know about in Karnataka. So the news as such may be fine, but at least for us to know the tiger reserves is very important because questions generally asked on this aspect. So one is Bandipur, Nagarhole, 2, and then third one is Bhadra Tiger Reserve, Anshi Dandeli and BRT. This is Bilquees Rangaswamy Temple Wildlife Sanctuary. So this is also a tiger reserve. So these are declared tiger reserves, national parks, wildlife sanctuaries if they have sufficient tiger population and they're designated as tiger reserves. So specific measures are taken to protect the tigers here. They come under Project Tiger. So that is the reason why these are named. You can see this is Dandeli Anshi, Bhadra, Nagarhole, Bandipur, and BRT is also there here, which is not shown in this map, but these are the 5. Then the next news item is Green Drive on Blue Waters. Solar power lights up naval vessel. So this is INS Sarvekshan, which is a naval survey vessel which is based in Kochi. So this had a diesel alternator, 4.4 kilowatt emergency diesel alternator. So presently that has been replaced by solar power system. So this has been placed on the head of the helipad. So helicopter deck which was there. So this has been placed, solar panels have been placed on this. These are razor thin flexible solar panels which have been sourced from US through a local vendor. So these will be used. The reason why other solar panels have not been used, because they are rigid and they are generally glass top solar panels, and in the humid salty marine environment they cannot withstand even the high wind speeds. So that is why these imported solar panels have been fitted on it. They'll be generating this much 5.4 kilowatt electricity. They'll be capable of generating this much electricity. They are zero maintenance solar power system. Plus even the fume emitting batteries which are there conventionally used in solar power systems, they will not be there. They would be using these alternate solar batteries also. So these will be no fume solid electrolyte batteries with a guaranteed life of 20 years which would be used. So this is the new system established, solar panel system, which will result in reducing yearly carbon emissions of 60,225 kg. It will save 22,995 liters of diesel for the Navy. So this is a huge initiative, green initiative taken in the Navy. So this is the solar panel. You can see ultra thin solar panels launched here on the canopy. The next news item is protein volume paradox resolved. So there are these proteins which are present in the depths of the oceans too. So proteins are the building blocks of life. So they are how the life is present in, icebound oceanic regions also, and even in the exoplanets which are icebound. So to understand how life can exist in such conditions too, giving an insight into alien life also, this paradox of protein volume has been resolved. Means proteins, the study says that proteins stay folded. So as long as they stay folded, they are allowed to perform their functions. That is possible, but that they remain folded under immense pressure. So when they are at such depth, they are under immense pressure and they stay folded and can perform their functions. But there are proteins which unfold under pressure. They become inoperable. So this is the new study which has been hypothesized. So based on this study, you can predict how volume for a given protein will change when folded or unfolded. So folding, unfolding state would result in change in volume. So that is based on this, you can understand the volume which will be there for the protein, and at what volume the protein would be functional, non-functional can be understood. So this will be helping in getting better insight into life forms in such extreme regions like depths of oceans and in oceanic exoplanets. Then the next news item is aggression brainstem volume link. So this is a link between aggression, which is found in ASD, autism spectrum disorder, in some children. So the brainstem has a correlation with aggression. So they have studied children with autism. They have divided them into 2 groups. This was a study done in US. So this 2 groups all were children with autism, but one were those who exhibited aggression, and other group was those children with autism who did not exhibit aggression. So in this study, they did MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, and in this they saw that the brainstem size was different for the 2 groups. So the smaller the brainstem size, it resulted in aggressive behavior. So this is the correlation which they have found. Inverse correlation between aggression and brainstem volume in children with autism. So the smaller the brainstem, the greater the likelihood of aggression. So this is the brainstem. You can see the brain, the various components it has. This is the cerebrum. This is the cerebellum, and this part is called the brainstem, which is expanded here. You can see. So this midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata are the main parts of the brainstem, and then below you have later extending into spinal cord. So the brainstem, what are the functions also you can see, medulla oblongata is the lowest part and it then further extends into spinal cord. This is responsible for respiration and heart rate. The pons here relays between cerebral hemispheres and the cerebellum. So that is relaying of information among the two parts. Even the midbrain relays the information between cerebral cortex and spinal cord. So it is also responsible for visual and auditory reflex patterns. So these brainstem, when this part is lesser in volume, it results in aggressive behavior in autism children. So this is a study being made. Then the next news item is, what is the Thor experiment? About autism, you should know that autism is a disease which affects the social behavior specifically of children. So it is a social behavior disease. It's genetically, it's clearly not understood what is the cause of autism. It may be due to genetic mutation or genetically based disease, or it may be due to hereditary effects. So it's not clear yet. But then the autism spectrum disorder is a spectrum. So that means that it is a huge spectrum. Means all children with autism are not equally affected or similarly affected. So some are at one extreme and others may be at other extreme where they may show very aggressive behavior and social exclusion, and another extreme may be where they are perfectly fine with some problems in their behavior as such. Otherwise they would be perfectly fine. The next news item is what is the Thor experiment. So in this Thor, which is actually a mythological character too in Norse mythology, it's a Marvel comic character too, which is having a hammer. So it's a hammer wielding character Thor. So there's an experiment which is being conducted by ISS, International Space Station, to investigate electrical activity from thunderstorms. So these are thunderstorms, means between 10 to 100 kilometers in the atmosphere. The interaction which takes place between charged particles produces various electric phenomena. So to understand them is this experiment. So thundercloud imaging system will be used in this. So from the International Space System. So the aims is to understand the influence of water vapor levels, cloud formation, and how changes in climate take place because of these discharges, electrical activity from thunderstorms. So this is the Thor experiment of ISS. So first attempt was made in September 2015 only. It's a recently launched experiment. So this you can see what will it do. So I'll try to understand what happens above the thunderstorms. So thunderstorms which penetrate into the stratosphere from the atmosphere. So what are the electrical activities there and how they affect the various atmospheric systems. So this you can see the atmosphere too. This you have the troposphere where the atmosphere is majorly located, and then you have above it the stratosphere. So this thunderstorms will be in this region. So ISS also, International Space Station, you should know, it is in the orbital height of 388 kilometers above the Earth's surface, and the atmosphere thickness is around 100 kilometers. So it's understanding this 10 to 100 kilometer atmosphere phenomena of thunderstorms and the electrical activities due to them. The next news item is new immigration order on the cards. So this is US President Donald Trump saying that he will sign a brand new executive order on immigration because of the court ruling which has blocked his travel ban. The next news item is market regulator lays down reforms roadmap for financial year 2018. So 2017-18. So this is SEBI, market regulator is SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India. So the reforms which will be undertaken in this new financial year is to bring in ease of doing business with that objective. So what it plans to do is reduce the listing time gap. So on capital market, when public issue is listed, it takes 6 days after the last day of the issue for them to be listed. So this time gap of 6 days should be reduced further. So steps will be taken here. Even recently these were 12 days which have been reduced to 6 days now. Then another initiative which will be taken is allowing institutional participation in commodity derivatives market. So what are commodity derivatives? We'll see. So individuals can participate, even institutions can participate. That will be provided in a phased manner now. Then commodity spot market integration with derivative segment will be initiated. So to understand this, we'll go through a little details here. So what are derivatives? We have done this earlier too. A derivative is a financial instrument whose value is derived from the value of an underlying asset. So this asset may be any commodity, anything. So commodity derivatives have a commodity based on which the value is derived. So these derivatives, like for example, it is gold derivative. So based on the price of gold, the value of this derivative would be 2. So generally it is said that people buy gold. Why do they buy gold? Because it is a safe investment. But then once you buy the gold, gold remains static at home. It cannot be invested. Nothing can be done out of it. So it's a waste of your resources. So what can be done is, since why you buying gold and keeping it? Because at a later date, when you think that gold prices would highly increase, and you sell your gold bar or whatever it may be coin, that will give you a huge amount of return. So a derivative would function as the same thing without you actually keeping the gold bar in your house. You're keeping only a document. So that is a derivative. So whatever amount of gold you want, you buy that amount of in derivative form. So these derivatives are traded. So what will happen is the derivative which you hold has the same value as the gold. And in future also, whatever will be the value of gold, that will be the value of the derivative. So its value is linked. So value is derived from the value of another asset. That's what it means. So these are commodity derivatives. So as the prices change, the derivative price would also change. So derivative is not a product. It is a contract that derives its value from the change in the price of the underlying commodity. So this example is also given, like gold futures contract. So now commodity derivatives market, institutional participation would be provided for in a phased manner was one thing. And another one was linking it with spot market. So what is spot market and derivative market? We'll see. So you can see derivative contracts, commodities can be anything. Gold, silver, platinum, even metals can be used as derivative products. Even agro products are used. So derivatives for this also are there, because hoarding of these food grains etc. take place. So to avoid this, if hoarding does not take place, you can buy a derivative. So that is a better way to actually, if you want to speculate on the prices of some commodity rather than hoarding, this is a better alternative. Energy products and so on. Then spot market and forward market. What is the difference? So spot market and forward market here. Spot means on the spot you are buying, selling. So that is the daily nature spot transactions, current transactions which take place. Forward market means exchange would take place at a future date. So this is how future delivery would take place. So that is a forward market. So that is how the spot prices, forward prices would be determined. But then forwards is something different and futures are different. So forwards actually can take place between two parties as a private contract also. But futures can be traded on the exchange. So that is the difference. They are standardized. Futures are standardized. So this is a forward contract between two, private contract as such. Right? Then there can be, usually in this forward, there is one specified delivery date that, the farmer and a person who will buy, a merchant who will buy this farm produce, they decide a forward contract is done with them, that at this date, at this price, this commodity would be brought. So that will be there. And futures is trading on the exchange. So this is a standardized contract. Range of delivery dates are decided. It is settled daily that how the commodity prices are going. So it's, that is seen and then prices are determined. So here there will be credit risk involved, that what credit has been provided for. It may be risky that the product may or may not be able to be achieved. But in futures there is no credit risk, because money is already provided in advance. So forward contract means money, you have provided credit to the farmer, for example here. So you have the credit risk whether it would be returning, he will be able to produce that commodity and provide it to you or not. But here then futures market, there is no credit risk as such, because it's a standardized contract. So it's based on that aspect. So now in futures also, there is another aspect to futures and options. So what is the difference between futures and options? So you can see. So in futures, both parties share the risk. So how buying and selling of derivative taking place in the derivatives market only, but the profit and loss which may occur is shared between the two. That if the commodity is able to be produced and has been provided for, then the benefits will be shared, and if there is a risk, it would be shared too. But in options, you can reduce your sharing of risk. So that is by paying a premium. So that's a premium paid. So based on this, then you have an option that whether you want to call it or you want to put it. So that is a call and put option which is generally provided for. So call option means the buyer has a right, but not it has to guarantee. It's not compulsory for him to buy. So you have a call option. So you pay a particular premium. So based on the premium paid, then you can decide whether you want to buy or not at that date. The seller has an obligation to sell, but the buyer does not have an obligation to buy. It's only a right to buy. So example is also provided here, like call option. So this is like, say this person has decided to buy shares of a particular or company IBM. So IBM shares will be brought by this person at a price which has been predetermined on a particular date. So $40 this on this date, shares 100 shares say would be purchased. So this is a call option. So he'll have to pay a particular premium too based on this. Then the seller would agree, okay, since the premium is being paid, I will assure you that you can buy this at this price. Then at this date, if the price of this stock shares of IBM are more than $40, and this person is, because of the call option which he has finalized and the premium also which he has paid, if he wants to purchase it, then it will be profitable for him too, only if it is above $40. So then he has a right. If it is valuable to him, he will exercise, he may not exercise too. So this is a call option. A put option example which is generally given is here. It is again a premium paid by the buyer. So this example here generally is given of insurance policies. So you, in a put option, you are paying the premium and acquiring the insurance, and the seller is obligated to buy. Means seller is obligated to pay. So when you're buying something, means you're paying back for it. So seller is obligated to pay because you have paid the premium. So if there is a damage or something, the seller will have to pay you the insurance amount, which is claim. So that is the claim paying. So that is here, the buyer has a right, but is not required to sell an agreed quantity. Means sell means you are asking for money. So that's what, when you're asking for money in insurance, you have a right to ask for insurance. You may not ask to. So that is the put option. And but the seller has to pay you. So that is the call and put option, which is generally there in these options derivatives. So futures and options are two different types of derivative contracts which can be there. So options, you have an option. Futures, there is no option. It's a standardized contract. Trading takes place, and there you have to pay. The contract is closed. So contract is closed means buying, selling, whatever is there would take place. And options, you have an option which you can use. That is spot and forward market. This is forward market we did. It is private. So it is private contract. This is traded on exchange. So forwards, futures both are same only. Means spot means at the same time. Forward means at a later date. Futures is also at a later date, but this is not private. This is standardized and traded on stock exchange. Then, so what we were seeing were the reforms which have been planned. So institutional participation would be allowed in commodity derivatives market in a phased manner. Presently only individuals are allowed. Now institutions would also be allowed. And integration of commodity spot market and derivative segment would be worked towards, so that the both run in tandem. So that is there. Then risk-based supervision for commodity brokers would be brought in. Cyber security lab would be set up for securities market, because this trading is also taking place online. So cyber security lab would be required. Online registration of intermediaries would be facilitated. Then also listing and trading of securitization receipts issued by asset reconstruction companies. So when these non-performing assets are reconstructed, so securitization of these is done. So allowing listing and trading of these securitization receipts is also planned to be taking place. So that some such reforms have been finalized, and SEBI would be working towards implementing them. Co-location facility of National Stock Exchange, examination carried out by regulator. Co-location means another location also possible. These initiatives would also be taken. Then the next news item is banks in position to cut lending rates further, Patel. So this is RBI Governor Urjit Patel after the Monetary Policy Committee gave its review and it decided to keep the repo rate unchanged. It has, the RBI Governor has said that banks are still in a position to reduce their lending rates further without the interest rate slash, because earlier to presently till the point that interest rates have been slashed, means repo rate has not been slashed, but whatever at what rate repo rate is, corresponding rate reduction in interest rates by banks have not taken place. So there is still leeway, they can take action. Few products like home and personal loans interest rates have been brought down, but the average lending costs, weighted average lending costs, RBI says is still high for banks, so they should take action. It also highlights that present due to demonetization, current account, saving account deposits have also increased a lot. So again, the banks have the leeway. The repo rate reduction also till date as much has been done gives them leeway and they can reduce lending rates. But banks do not agree. They say, no, we have done enough. We can't do any more. So that is the point. The next news item is World Bank helps sought to identify areas for rail safety fund. So World Bank has been approached by the Railway Ministry. It is planning to consult the World Bank so that it can identify areas, it will be sought to identify areas where investment should be done. So Railway Safety Fund, Rashtriya Rail Sanraksha Kosh, which is 1 lakh crore fund for a period of 5 years, for which 75% contribution will come from the government and remaining 25% railways have to generate from its own resources. So this has been proposed for the first year in the present budget 2017-18. So where should this money be put in? For this consultation would be sought of the World Bank. So that has been put forth. We actually have been discussing this quite often because of the rail accidents too which have been taken place. So even earlier railways has said that automating track inspection, track surveillance, using rail robots to detect fractures in railway tracks. So these are the possible areas where this can be put in. Also, it has earlier proposed that 1/3 of the fund should be used for eliminating unmanned level crossings because this is the place where maximum accidents take place. So even we have discussed Anil Kakodkar Committee on Railway Safety. It had also said the same thing that 1 lakh crore would be required for 5 years to bring in railway safety. So that was a committee on railway safety. So its recommendations are also there in place. We have discussed earlier too, LHB coaches have to be brought in. So that is also in these, railway coaches have to be changed. So that also inventory has to change. So these are the areas where investment has to be done. But to clearly bring forth that how they should invest the amount, which is their resources with them, World Bank help has been sought. So this is World Bank, Bretton Woods twin, it is as it is called, along with IMF. So it was established in 1944 at Washington DC. The headquarters is there. Both are there. World Bank, IMF are headquartered in Washington DC. So it is called United Nations International Financial Institution too. So it provides loans to developing countries for capital programs. So this is part of the World Bank Group. So actually World Bank Group comprises of these 5 organizations and each one has their specific function too. You can see here. So IBRD is what we generally call as World Bank. Its actual name, official name is International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. And if you say World Bank Group, it comprises of all 5 together. So that's how it is. So this provides institutional, legal and regulatory reform, promotes that. This International Development Association promotes institutional, legal and regulatory reforms by providing even technical assistance, interest-free loans, policy advice to developing countries. So these 2 are there. Then International Finance Corporation promotes private sector development, right? And then MIGA, Multilateral Investment and Guarantee Act, provides minimization of risk as such. So risk management, foreign investors' risks should be minimized in member countries. And International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes. So this facilitates arbitration. Then this is the Anil Kakodkar Committee on Railway Safety and its recommendations. So what all it had suggested: advanced signaling system to be brought in, eliminating all manned unmanned level crossings, switching over from integral coach factory to Link Hoffman Bush design coaches, LHB coaches. So these recommendations have already been provided. LHB coaches benefits, advantages over the ICF coaches have also been discussed quite often. You can go through them once again here. And the National Rail Safety Fund, which Anil Kakodkar Committee had recommended. So that was how it had recommended. So presently it is 75% would be coming from the exchequer. It had said that 25% should be used for upgrading rolling stock. Means these coaches have to be changed, installing train collision avoidance systems. Then remaining should be spent on building over bridges, under bridges, so that manned crossings can be eliminated, level crossings can be eliminated. So that was the case. It had said that 40% of accidents and over half of fatalities are due to unmanned crossings. So they have to be surely eliminated. So that's why bridges would be required, over bridges, under bridges. That should be where the fund should be put in. And the last news item is gender of fetus can affect pregnant women's immunity, says study. So this is a study which says that immunity of pregnant women is affected by the gender of the baby. So this is the immune markers called cytokines. So they have been studied, and the levels of them based on the gender of the fetus have been studied, and it has been found that women who carry female fetus have higher inflammatory response. So inflammatory response is important as a response, immune response as such. Inflammation generally means a swelling. So this actually, if it is too extreme, then it is not good for the body. So it's seen that women who carry female fetus have higher inflammatory response. So this has been seen. So this in generally in the body, within the body itself, it has been fine. Immune cells are similarly responding, but then when they are exposed to bacteria as such, then the inflammatory response of women carrying female fetus is exceedingly high. So this is also stressful for the body. So this, they say, this has been considered as has been affirmed as the reason why mothers who carry female fetus exhibit symptoms of some medical conditions in heightened manner. So like asthma, which is faced by pregnant women who are carrying a female fetus, heightened asthma, all such cases are because inflammatory response is high when a female fetus is carried. So this is a study done on that. So that is it. Thank you.